former boyfriend of the Winooski woman charged with murdering her son admits he lied to police.
In court today, Tyler Chicoine admitted he didn't tell police what he says really happened the day Payton died until weeks into the investigation. He told law enforcement officers last month that he saw his former girlfriend, Natasha LaForce, violently shaking the toddler just hours before his death. And now the prosecution says he'll be their key witness in the murder trial against LaForce.
Vermont, a small state in the northeast United States, is often seen as a symbol of peace. Quiet towns, close-knit communities, and the belief that this is a safe place for children to grow up. But behind that appearance, Vermont also faces a substance abuse crisis and a child protection system that is always in an overloaded state. In those very small gaps of that supervision, tragedies sometimes take place without anyone being able to stop them in time. And right here, the story of Peighton Geraw begins. Hello friends, I am Delvi. Before starting the story, please like the video, subscribe, and please let me know in which city you are watching this movie. And this is extremely important. Please share this video with those around you. The more people recognize it, the more people are more vigilant. And who knows, it will promptly protect a child in real life. We cannot go back to save the children, but we can speak up together so that no other small child has to remain silent in fear. Peighton Geraw was a baby girl only 14 months old, born on January 23, 2013, at Fletcher Allen Health Care in Burlington, Vermont. According to medical records, Payton was born 5 weeks early, and right from the moment of birth had to face a state of dependency on addictive substances, originating from her mother using opiates during pregnancy. Payton's mother is Natasha LaForce. Regarding Payton's biological father, according to our research, press records only confirm that Payton did not carry her biological father's last name. Instead, according to court documents, her mother let a previous boyfriend, not Tyler Chicoine, have his name on the birth certificate. In the rare photos shared by the family, Payton had light brown hair, dark eyes, and chubby cheeks. She liked wearing tiny little baseball hats and wearing bright-colored clothes of spring. Relatives called Payton a dream child because she almost always smiled and rarely cried. You know, looking at those images, no one thinks that she was starting her life in a circumstance full of risks. At the beginning of 2013, when Payton was still a newborn baby, Natasha LaForce, along with Joshua Geraw, took her to leave Vermont for New Hampshire. The problem was, leaving the state without permission directly violated Natasha's probation terms related to the crime of stabbing someone. Joshua Geraw was also not a clean person, and he was on probation for a series of illegal acts, including illegal entry, property destruction, petty theft, and burglary. On May 29, 2013, both were arrested in New Hampshire. Payton was separated from them and temporarily handed over to her maternal grandmother for care. Natasha and Joshua were both detained after this arrest. However, only a few months later, by July 2013, Natasha was released from detention. And immediately after that, the Vermont Department for Children and Families, DCF, returned Payton to her. Not a single significant additional condition, not a single tighter supervision measure. After being released, Natasha LaForce moved to live at the Lund Family Center, an inpatient treatment program for high-risk families. On paper, everything looked positive. Natasha participated in parenting classes, complied with the process, and was assessed as having progress. But here's the thing. She herself admitted those courses did not truly help her. Even so, DCF still decided to close the case file, although social workers continued to check on Payton until January 2014. Payton was returned to Natosha while worrying signs still existed. Natosha did not proactively take medical care of her child, and DCF had to many times pressure her to complete basic vaccinations for Payton. When leaving the transitional facility, Natosha quickly returned to old habits. In January 2014, she moved to an apartment on Mallet Bay Avenue in Winooski, Vermont. Only 1 month later, Natosha started a new relationship with Tyler Schocken. And from that point on, yet the living environment around Payton began to deteriorate clearly. Tyler Schocken also brought with him a thick past of legal criminal records. Records show that he once served time for acts of assault, armed robbery, simple assault, prohibited sexual acts, and disturbing public order. On April 2nd, 2014, Natosha LaForce and Tyler took Payton to Fletcher Allen Health Care. They said that Payton could no longer walk and was vomiting. Upon examination, the doctor noticed 2 round bruises on Payton's neck, 1 bruise on each side, the size about 1 to 1.5 centimeters, atypical locations for bruises to appear. The couple could not provide a reasonable explanation for these marks. That's a red flag. The worrying thing was that the medical team did not discover the real reason making Payton unable to walk. She had a broken leg. The concern was not the condition of the child, but the image that had to be presented before the social workers. On April 4th, investigator John Salter of Vermont DCF arrived at the apartment 2 times in the same day. Salter was not a newcomer, and he had 25 years of experience holding a supervisory position, but that day he directly went to do field work. During the first visit, Salter was told that Payton was sleeping. No check, no contact. The second visit was not any better. Natosha only quickly skimmed for him to see the bruises in a room lacking light. Salter never touched Payton. No breathing check, no confirmation of reaction, no real physical assessment. Later, Salter told the police a haunting sentence. "Did I know the baby was alive? No, I did not know." Friends, let that sink in. A seasoned investigator left the scene without knowing whether the child was alive or not. This is truly crazy to me. Right after investigator John Salter left the apartment, Natosha LaForce called 911, reporting that her child was no longer responsive. And Payton was rushed to Fletcher Allen Health Care in Burlington, Vermont. There, doctors confirmed she had passed away. Payton was only 14 months, 25 days old. So what happened to Payton? The autopsy results showed that Payton had shaken baby syndrome. Doctors recorded multiple injuries in the head area, damage to the forehead and neck, retinal nerve damage in both eyes, and brain hemorrhage. She also had a broken lower leg bone. These injuries didn't happen by accident. They point to a chain of serious impacts occurring in a short period of time. According to court records, at the time Payton passed away, Natosha LaForce was participating in treatment for substance use disorder at the Howard Center. She also secretly brought buprenorphine, a prescription medication used in treating opiate addiction, home for Tyler Schocken. Only within a few days after Payton's death, both Natosha and Tyler were detained for probation violations not directly related to the incident. Natosha's probation was revoked after she tested positive for marijuana. Tyler's parole was also revoked after he tested positive for buprenorphine. At that point, I think this is no longer a story of a single file. When a child has clear signs of serious trauma but is still taken home, then we must question the responsibility. Protecting children is not an option, and even less a task done just for show. Each time a warning is ignored, each time an assessment is done sloppily, it is a time the system puts children in danger. And we cannot accept that these shortcomings are called professional errors, because the price to pay here is the life of a child. If we do not dare to look straight at those failures, then similar tragedies will continue to repeat. By May, the focus of the investigation quickly narrowed down, revolving around what happened in the apartment during Payton's final hours. Netosha LaForce and Tyler Shakeen both denied knowing exactly the cause leading to the death of the child. From the beginning, their testimonies did not match. Tyler continuously affirmed that he loved Payton. However, investigators noticed suspicious bruises around Tyler's eyes and neck. When asked, his explanation changed many times. Initially, Tyler said that he was injured while exercising. Later, he claimed that Netosha accidentally collided with him. After many interrogations, Tyler finally admitted a key detail. He testified that he had personally witnessed Netosha shaking Payton violently and slamming her head down on the floor, about 1 hour before investigator John Salter of DCF arrived at the apartment. According to Tyler's words, at that time, Netosha was not in a normal conscious state, seemingly being under the influence of a new type of addictive substance.
Former boyfriend of the Winooski woman charged with murdering her son admits he lied to police. Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephanie Gorin. George is off tonight. 28-year-old Tyler Shequin pleaded guilty to charges of giving false information to a police officer in connection with the death of 14-month-old Peighton Geraw. Shequin is the former boyfriend of Geraw's biological mother, Netosha LaForce. LaForce has pleaded not guilty to Payton's murder. WPTZ's Bridget Shanahan was in court all day and joins us now live with more. Bridget.
Well, that's right, Steph. In court today, Tyler Shequin admitted he didn't tell police what he says really happened the day Payton died until weeks into the investigation. He told law enforcement officers last month that he saw his former girlfriend, Netosha LaForce, violently shaking the toddler just hours before his death. And now the prosecution says he'll be their key witness in the murder trial against LaForce.
I'm happy that, he now spoke up, but I wish that he would have did it on, like, the day he was asked instead of, 3-4 interviews of still lying.
Tyler Shequin's mother and sister sat quietly behind him while he admitted in open court he knowingly withheld information from police.
Guilty.
14-month-old Peighton Geraw died on April 4th, but police say it wasn't until May that Shequin would tell the whole story about what he says happened the day Payton died.
He said clearly and demonstrated that he saw Netosha LaForce violently shake Peighton Geraw and slammed Peighton Geraw's head against the floor in the house. That account was corroborated by the medical examiner as the likely cause of death.
According to the affidavit, Shequin spoke to officers 4 times, but it wasn't until he was polygraphed in the 3rd and 4th interviews that he began to reveal the details about Netosha LaForce.
Tyler had been honest about what he saw sooner. Do you think Payton might still be alive?
I can't answer that question at this time. I mean, clearly, because of Mr. Shequin's earlier statements to the police, this investigation was delayed and it was deflected from Miss LaForce.
He was such a good baby. Yeah.
This has been really hard for your family.
Yeah, really hard. Like, he was the best baby ever.
And while Shequin prepares to be the prosecution's primary witness in the murder trial against his former girlfriend, his family is still healing.
And it's still hard, and it'll probably still be hard for probably the rest of my life,
According to the testimony of Tyler Shequin, right before investigator John Salter arrived at the apartment, he had just stepped out of the bathroom when he witnessed Netosha LaForce shaking Payton violently and slamming her hard down on the floor. Tyler believed that this action originated from frustration when Payton cried without stopping. She would not shut her mouth. Tyler said he pulled Netosha away from Payton, held the child for a moment, and then placed her back in the crib. According to Tyler's words, Payton at that time still had signs of life and was breathing, so he believed that everything had temporarily calmed down. He said, "I could see she was still alive and still breathing, so I put her in the crib." The police opened an investigation toward both Tyler Shequin and Netosha LaForce. Tyler passed the lie detector test, while Nitosha did not meet the requirements. Under investigation pressure, Nitosha shifted the direction of accusation, claiming that Tyler was the person who caused the injuries to Payton, while simultaneously saying that Payton and Tyler did not get along. Despite those contradictions, prosecutors still reached an important decision. On May 28, 2014, Nitosha LaForce, Payton's mother, was indicted on the charge of second-degree murder at Chittenden Superior Court. She did not plead guilty and was detained without bail.
Good morning. Please have a seat. This is a matter of Payton LaForce. This is docket 1824-5. And Mr. Collins, I'll come to your office to represent this report.
Thank you, Your Honor. We received the information in an affidavit, waived reading of the charges of the Rule 5 rights, waived the 24-hour rule, and your plea today of not guilty.
Okay, we'll enter the plea of not guilty. And Mr. Donovan, I see the state's filed a motion to hold without bail.
That's correct, Your Honor. We ask that the court grant our motion and that the court set a hearing on the state's motion to hold.
You wish to comment on that now, Mr. Collins?
My preference would be for the court to make a provisional ruling and wait for the actual attorney to file a bail review, but I'll leave that to the court.
Based on the standards set by the Supreme Court on review of the probable cause affidavit, I do believe that when there is sufficient evidence to indicate that the evidence of guilt is great, and to justify the order to hold without bail. So I will issue the order that she be held without bail, and then I won't set a hearing until there's a request from her attorney. Is that the way you do it?
Yeah. Judge, I believe the state can make that request to have a hearing, and we'd ask that the hearing be set. I think we're entitled to it under the statute.
I'm not sure, so I'll have to take a look to see whether the court will set for a hearing unless there's a request by the defendant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All rise, please.
Finally, in October 2016, Nitosha LaForce reached a plea agreement with prosecutors. She chose the form of no contest toward the charges of manslaughter and child abuse. According to this agreement, Nitosha was sentenced from 6 to 15 years in prison, including the time already detained since 2014. Additionally, she must undergo probation lasting until October 2036, with strict conditions, including restricting unsupervised contact with children under 10 years old. The case closed on paper, but the questions about the level of justice truly achieved still remain there. Besides the prison sentence, Nitosha LaForce was also required to participate in treatment for substance use disorder as a mandatory condition. However, in May 2020, she was released early before completing the minimum sentence, with the reason related to concerns during the pandemic period. As of the present, Nitosha is still living free, under the probation conditions that the court imposed. And the thing that makes us unable to accept is that a child no longer has the chance to live, while the person who must take responsibility has the chance to step outside, free. Meanwhile, Tyler Shaken pleaded guilty to providing false information to the investigative agency. According to court records, and he admitted to having waited many weeks after the investigation, began to tell the police what he knew. Tyler worked with investigators 4 times, but only by the 3rd and 4th interrogations did he start providing full information about his former girlfriend. Tyler testified that he had never seen her this crazy and violent before. She was definitely on something, and it wasn't just weed, as well as it was like she wasn't there. Tyler was released after serving the related legal conditions. Before that, Tyler Shaken had been detained for unrelated probation violations. He was identified as a key witness for the state and agreed to cut off all contact with Nitosha LaForce. However, Tyler never had to go to court to testify because the case closed when Nitosha herself reached a plea agreement. This case shows the way legal agreements sometimes end a case faster than bringing the whole truth to light. Payton's funeral was organized on April 12, 2014, in a memorial ceremony in Burlington. The family encouraged those coming to visit to wear baseball hats and wear spring clothing to remember the simple things that Payton loved while alive. A few weeks later, on May 25, 2014, Cassandra Blondin, along with friends of the family, organized a memorial vigil at Battery Park in Burlington. Dozens of people gathered, lighting paper lanterns bearing Payton's name, then releasing them to fly up into the night sky, like a quiet reminder that Payton once existed, and she should not be forgotten. Cassandra said that the vigil was not only to remember Payton, but also to call on the community to look straight at the responsibility of protecting children, so that tragedies like this do not repeat in silence. Cassandra added, "Hope she's looking down and this makes her happy. We don't want another child to go through this." Jonathan Hinton, Payton's godfather, spoke up during the memorial. He said that this pain does not only belong to the family, but is also a wake-up call for the whole system. According to him, Payton deserved to be better protected, and what happened should not be allowed to repeat with any other child. He believes the DCF system needs to have real changes. He said he was heartbroken before this loss, but also felt comforted seeing the community present to say goodbye to Payton. Closing, he sent to Payton a message, "Miss you very much. I love you." The tragic death of Payton quickly sparked questions about the Vermont Department for Children and Families, DCF, as well as the entire system tasked with protecting the most vulnerable children. Some opinions criticized the hospital for not detecting the serious injury in Payton's leg and for letting her return home after the first visit. Others focused on the missed warnings in the child welfare system, claiming that those errors could have prevented this tragedy. Before the wave of reaction from public opinion, the governor of Vermont at that time, Peter Shumlin, called for a review of system reform. An internal investigation was conducted to assess whether DCF investigator John Salter could have done more in Payton's case. However, the Chittenden County State's Attorney's Office finally concluded that Salter would not face criminal charges related to his role in the incident. The case closed legally, but the questions about responsibility and child protection still remain open. What happened in Payton's case, unfortunately, is not rare. Investigator John Salter left the apartment only a few minutes before Payton's mother called 911, reporting that her child was no longer responsive. A period of time so short that it made many people unable not to ask the question, when did Payton pass away, and whether that happened right while the visit took place or not. After the review process, as the functional agencies concluded that Salter had strictly followed DCF procedures at that time, procedures that did not require direct physical checks, hands-on, toward the child. However, it is this point that sparks a larger debate about the capability of prevention. When the system allows ending a visit without confirming the survival status of a child, then child protection is limited by procedures instead of being led by realistic risk assessment. Effective prevention is not only reacting after a tragedy, but identifying and acting right at the moment the risk appears. The authorities claimed that there was not enough evidence to determine criminal neglect behavior. But for many child protection experts, this case emphasizes a core issue. Vulnerable children need higher intervention standards, including direct observation, full medical assessment, and close coordination between agencies. When preventive measures are not prioritized, the system can only record the consequences instead of preventing the tragedy. At a press conference later, State's Attorney T.J. Donovan spoke up about this conclusion. He said, "John Salter did his job. He did everything he was trained to do. He did everything he was supposed to do. He followed the protocols that DCF has." Payton's death exposed the gaps within the current protocols themselves. especially the absence of a mandatory requirement for physical checks to confirm the status of a child during visits by social workers. In many other states in the United States, this requirement has been applied for a long time as a basic preventive measure. What reality shows that many injuries in young children can be difficult to observe, easy to hide, and weak light, or the fact that a child does not cry, does not always reflect the level of danger. Before those risks, Prosecutor T.J. Donovan proposed reviewing the policy, including the possibility of mandating brief physical checks during visits, a step aimed at shifting the focus from procedural compliance to substantive protection. But besides the reforms of protocols, the responsibility to protect children does not only belong to the system. We, as the community around children, also have an irreplaceable role. Recognizing abnormal signs, reacting promptly, and reporting reasonable suspicions immediately to the functional agencies can create a life and death difference. Protecting children is not waiting until there is certain evidence, but being vigilant before risks and acting early, because in cases like Payton's, even a very small delay can lead to irreversible consequences. This video is performed with the purpose of education and raising community awareness about justice and child protection to never be repeated, absolutely not aimed at exploiting sensational or shocking elements. Please press like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to accompany us in the next true crime documentary episodes, where each story is a voice for justice for children, for child protection, and for a world where every child is safe, loved, and listened to.